In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use Onxmaps and GPS coordinates for successful land viewings. A big part of buying land is having successful land visits so you can go view property on your own. In this video, I'm going to do a quick tutorial on a few of our listings and my recommendations and my tips for having those successful land viewings. So let's get started here. Starting with this first property, I'm going to show you guys a property I've got in Montana. It's 1.8 acres of land, and I've got a 93-acre property next door to it. So let's go over these two examples because one of them does have road access and the other one does have hiking access. So these will be a fun one to dive into. So starting with this first 1.8 acre property, a lot of times you're going to see GPS coordinates listed for vacant land, right? So I'm going to start with copying these coordinates right here, giving you a quick example of how you can just plug them into Google Maps and pull them up here and see where the property is located. So if I zoom out, we're here in the middle of a mountain range outside of Racetrack, Montana, Anaconda, Montana. And you can see there's a road that goes right in front of the property. It's called Racetrack Road, okay? So this is a pretty easy one to access. And I want to show you how it looks on Onx Hunt. You're thinking, how do I know where the property lines are? How do I know where the corners of the property are? Well, guess what? Now let's go on to my favorite app here. This is called Onx Hunt. And I have an overlay, a layer here that includes private land ownership. So if you're on your phone or you're on your computer, when you're walking the property, you can actually have this app on your phone. You want to download it and you want to have the elite version or the pro version that allows you to have private land ownership layers. And I can go down and I can turn a state on and I can turn on Montana. And you can see that in the state of Montana, anyhow, I have that layer going. You want to make sure you have the layer going because if you don't, here's how it's going to look. If I take off private land ownership and government lands, it's just you don't know where the property is. Now watch me turn this back on. Private land ownership. You can see our property right here is outlined. And if you have the app on your phone, when you're looking down at your phone, just like when you're driving to your friend's house and you can see your phone tracking you on the road, you can actually walk the property from corner to corner, just like my mouse is here, and you can see exactly where you're at on the property. It's a really awesome app for hunting and for land viewings, right? I love this app for land viewings because we can see Racetrack Road goes right here, and we can see that our property is outlined. When I'm out at the property, I can actually walk this property. The next thing I want to forewarn you about is some of the areas that people are selling land, and you might be looking at land, are going to be not have cell phone service, right? And so what you can do is actually, you can go ahead and download offline maps and I can click new offline map and you can do this on your phone and I can download a map right here that will download. So if I lose cell phone connection, I still have access to these maps. I can still see my satellite tracker tracking my phone to show me exactly where I'm at on this property, right? So when you download these offline maps, you're still going to have access to these maps. Okay, and you can download them all over the country on Onx Hunt. I'm sure there's more YouTube videos from the company itself that teaches you how to use this app too. So this is one of my favorite apps for land viewings, right? So let's get out of this and let's go on to another property that's right behind this one. We actually own all of this land as well. And you can see this is surrounded by a national forest. And I can see all this private land ownership. I can study it, so I can study my route in. You're going to have to hike into this property from behind this one, maybe from this road over here, or maybe from this hiking trail and back. You see, Onx Hunts gives me all these hiking trails too, to Thornton Lake and places like that, right? Here's another hiking trail too. And if I click on some outside ownership, we can see Deer Lodge National Forest. That's 63,000 acres surrounded by this property. So we know we're next to public land, okay? So I want to bring up another example too, is that let me give you one more example using Google Earth this time and using, maybe you're not tech savvy and you need another way to look at land. Let me talk a little bit more about, I've got another property in Columbia Falls, Montana that I've got pulled up. Let's pull this one up. Let's say we don't have Onxmaps. This would be really easy to find on Onxmaps and I'll show it to you at the end here. But let's say I don't have Onxmaps. I'm sure the GPS coordinates are just going to bring me to this property and I'll get there, but I won't know what the boundaries of that property are. So I'm going to get to the property and Google Maps is going to bring me down Highway 2 and it's going to bring me south down onto this property. It's going to be hard to determine where the boundaries are. Another way besides using Onxmaps is using natural features in the landscape. So let's go back up to the photos of this property. Here's one good photo outlining the property. You can see if I zoom in, this house is on the north end of it. There's a cluster of trees over here on the northwest corner. Down here on the southwest corner is going to be this person's driveway. Down here in the southeast corner is where the road turns. This one's pretty easy to envision. You could probably plug the coordinates in and have a pretty successful land viewing just looking at this photo. I'm going to go one step further though. At the end of all of our listings, we post these aerial photos, just like this. And again, we can see that this property, again, there's kind of an opening in the trees on the northwest corner of the property. On the northern line, this guy's built his house pretty close to it. Then the road comes down on the east side. On the southeast corner, the road kind of comes through it. And on the southwest corner, it starts of a person's driveway. That should be pretty easy to visualize. This is an example of a property you may not need Onx Hunt for. Using the GPS coordinates should bring you right to the property. When you're there, you can use these natural features in the landscape to help identify where you're at on the property, okay? And now let's do one last thing. Let's plug this into Onx Hunt just to show you how easy it actually is to go view these properties, okay? So looking at Onx Hunt here, we can see the properties outlined. Very easy to walk this property. If I click on it, you can see the outline of the property. Again, to see the outlines of the properties, you're going to need the layer of Montana for private land ownership clicked. And you're going to, if you ever need to download offline maps, you can always do that as well, right? I can download this map before I go out there to make sure if I don't have cell phone connection, I can go visit the property still. Okay, I want to do one last example and I want to talk to you about one last thing that I've got pulled up. We do share a link to view these properties on Google Earth. If you click that link and you download this KMZ file right here like this, I've already got it downloaded, but you simply download that and you'll open it up in your downloads like this. And you can go over to Google Earth and we can see this property. If I can find which one it is, we can see this property outlined on Google Earth. So another unique feature of Google Earth, and the reason I love to use Google Earth, is you can look at time lapses on Google Earth and you can measure different properties on Google Earth. So you can go back to 2006 on Google Earth and see what it looked like back in 2006 and 2011. I think that's a really cool feature of Google Earth. You can also use a ruler, and Onxmaps has some of these features too, but I can look at the measurements of how many feet wide a property is, 152 feet wide, for example, right? Like those are pretty cool to have those measurements. And then the time lapse is pretty unique too on Google Earth, being able to go back and look at properties in time. So let's go look at one more and talk about this a little bit more. The reason I do love to open up Google Earth and Google Maps is just to get an idea of these properties. You can look at elevation and slope and things like that. But here's a good example, and I want to pull up Onx Hunt too, just to show you that you can on Onx Hunt as well. If I zoom out, I can X out of this. I can actually draw lines, right? I can look at the width of a property, how close it is to a structure. So maybe you're looking at, there's a house on the north corner. Where's the driveway at, right? You can measure that out. This is about 50 yards, half a football field. So, these are really, really unique tools that are going to help with your land viewings, okay? I think that's a good tutorial here. We're using these GPS coordinates as a quick recap to either plug them into Google Earth. We can download the link that we have to Google Earth and open up the file and look at it on Google Earth and study Google Earth, look at a time lapse, make measurements, all that good stuff. We can pull it up on Google Maps and get to a property pretty easily, looking at natural features in the landscape to help us identify where we're at on a property. And we can also go find off-grid property in the middle of Montana, in the middle of nowhere on Google Earth here, using our GPS coordinates, okay? So that's really where we're at with these properties. Again, here's our satellite imagery on Google Earth for that 93 acre we talked about originally. And here's that 2 acre down here by the river. And again, we can go look at time lapses and see what things looked like in the past, right? I think that's a really unique feature. And little things you can do on Google Earth is you might find old roads. So if I go a little bit further back in the past on this property, there are old roads that actually switch back up on this property. See that? See how, 5-year difference these roads were visible at one point going to this property that we have. So Google Earth is going to be a really advanced tool to go visit lands. Onyx Hunt is going to be really easy to use. Download the app on your phone, get the elite version. It's worth it for your land viewings. You really can walk a property and identify the corners of the property really well using Onyx Hunt. So that's it for me today. You can check out all of our land deals on wilcolandllc.com. We're here to help with you in your land buying journey and offer some down-to-earth customer service and some unique and epic properties that we have for sale. So again, give us a call or give me a call if you have questions. My name is Miles McLaughlin here at Wilco Land. Thanks for tuning in.